are keeping up the tradition of filming from strange locations on my end. Nick's keeping up the tradition of setting time aside to film on his end, which I think in a busy life with a busy family in the middle of summer is worth some personal praise on our hand for. So Nick, appreciate you being here today. What in the world are we talking about this summer Friday?
I think we are going to talk about we're going to start talking about AEP prep stuff. It's a Medicare focused channel, and AEP is coming up, and that makes things different. The Medicare world, it exists all year round, but realistically, AEP is a little bit different than most times of year. And it's early August as we're recording this, or it will be soon. It's July 28th. August is the time to start getting ready for AEP. And so I think talking about a little bit of you're going to do to prepare for AEP, especially if you're a new agent and you've not done this before, I think is the way to go. So with that in mind, what pre-AEP topic do you want to cover, Chris? We talked about a few.
Well, sure. And I think it's good to be time relevant. I think it's good to be relevant about Medicare, especially to maybe other agents that are new to it, or like myself, can get very overwhelmed with the amount of products and carriers and certifications and almost start to think to yourself, this is just too much. I don't even know how to log into this site to complete the certificate. Screw it. So I'm going to buy more leads and sell something else. Right. So I wanted to talk about today all of these carriers, all of their products, finding a nice mix for the personal producer so they can write the business and not get overwhelmed with all these carriers and products and certifications.
Yeah, I think that's an excellent way to start. Again, I want to approach this with the idea in mind that the people watching this video are probably not veteran Medicare agents. If you are a veteran Medicare agent, would love to hear from you and see what you think about what we have to say and how this advice works for you and whether or not you think it's valuable for new agents. Put something in the comments down there. But I think this is a video really geared towards when you're getting started, if you are new to selling Medicare, maybe you've been selling something else for a while and this is your first AEP or second AEP. I think it's really important to take this time in August to kind of your ducks in a row and figure out what you want to sell, what carriers you want to start working with, right? So I don't know. I know you've mentioned to me in the past that when you got started doing Medicare, it was extremely overwhelming to you, unlike Safe Expense, where every product is the same, and the only real difference is how much they're going to charge somebody and what the underwriting is.
Yeah.
But with Final Expense, if you die, it pays. That's really all you need to know. Medicare, different plans are different, even within the same carrier, right?
I don't understand why. I don't. Maybe we shouldn't use names. Maybe we should. But I really love Humana. I love all their benefits. I love their availability countrywide.
Sure.
But just in our region alone, there's 200 different versions of a Medicare Advantage plan. I'm like, this is good Lord.
Right. And they've got different PPO plans, and they're all called Humana Choice PPO, and then a number code at the end, and it's a 15-digit number at the end and the only thing that's different is that number code, and the plans are very, very different from one another, right? They're not extremely the same different. But they're all Humana Choice PPO, right?
I don't understand why that happens, because I don't understand the business in an actuarial sense, but right. I understand as an actual producer, I felt it was very helpful in the beginning. I rode with Cigna. It had a very competitive dual plan. It had a strong plan.
Sure.
I didn't get a lot of network complaints in the Philadelphia market. One competitive name brand carrier. So if there's a regular agent watching this channel right now who just wants to start picking up the low-hanging fruit, was that a viable strategy, or was I doing something wrong?
No, I think it is. What I tend to recommend is that you find not even just one carrier, but one plan from one carrier for people that are non-dual, and then one dual eligible plan. And that's it. Just start with just that. You're going to find people that plan doesn't work for medication-wise. You're going to find people that plan doesn't work for network-wise. That's going to be okay. You can either choose to walk away from those people, or you can try and adjust on the fly, or you can set a follow-up appointment, or you can do something else with those people. But you should have a plan with a carrier that you think, for whatever reasons you think it's good. I will tell you some of the things that I look for, but this is personal choice. Like, there are a lot of differing opinions on, like,
good PPO plan.
Yeah,
Choice.
it is a good PPO plan, actually. Like, I personally, if it's not a dual, I will not write an HMO. I just don't. I don't care how good the benefits are. I don't care how good the extras are. I don't care if it's an HMO point of sale. I don't write HMOs. That's me. That's a decision that I made for myself in this business several years ago. And we can get into reasons why I don't do that on a future episode, but like, that's just a thing that is for me. I'll write HMOs for duals because a lot of times duals don't have other choices. And in some markets, you may not have a choice. In the Philadelphia area, we are lucky that we have lots and lots of really good competitive PPO plans. That may not be an option for everybody to say, hey, I'm not going to write an HMO. But that is one of the things that I look for. When I look at PPO plans, I will always favor a PPO plan that has a passive network over a PPO plan that charges higher out-of-network costs. So passive network PPOs charge you the same, usually in all circumstances, if you're in network or out of network. There are some that claim to be passive network PPOs that'll give you a different maximum out-of-pocket cost, or they'll give you a different for hospitalization, and is like 90% the same. But still, I favor those over other things. Those are things that I look for that I think as an agent are valuable. Those aren't things that you can really sell to a client. They're not things that you can say, hey, I think that you should have this plan because it's a PPO, or I think you should have this plan because it's a passive network. You have to explain a lot of stuff, and clients aren't really going to care. But for me, I know that those are things that are going to leave me with happier clients in the future and fewer problems in the future. And so those are valuable things.
Real quick, for those that are watching that are just very, very new to Medicare, very new to the concept, they know they want to get off the first year hamster wheel. Give me a bite-sized explanation of a HMO and a PPO. Explain HMO and PPO to the folks watching real quick, because that might be a concept that's new to some agents as well.
Sure. Yeah. So HMO, Health Maintenance Organization, that is going to be closed network plan. Oftentimes, not always, but oftentimes you'll require referrals to other doctors. But the big thing is, if you go out of network and you go to see a doctor that is not contracted with the carrier, you will not have insurance coverage, and you'll have to pay essentially as a cash payer 100% out of pocket. PPO plan is a preferred provider organization, which means that you have still in network and out of network, but in network for the most part just means that you pay a lower price than for your copays and deductibles than out of network. If it's an out of network doctor, the doctors can still technically refuse to accept the PPO plan. It is extremely rare that will happen, but it can happen. But with a PPO plan, you have a lot more freedom of choice. You have a lot more options for and control over your healthcare. Everything isn't run by your primary doctor. What I have found over the years, having done this for a while, is with Medicare, you are locked into your plan for the most part after AEP. Sometimes you have special election periods. It can be difficult and or complicated to get out of your plan mid-year as a consumer. But doctors can change their network anytime they want. And I have had it happen more than once, and I've had other clients who have had it happen where mid-year, like July, somebody's doctor leaves an HMO network. Nothing prevents them from doing that. But now, if you're in an HMO, you can no longer see that doctor unless you want to pay cash out of pocket. The time that convinced me to stop writing HMOs is I had a client who was seeing a pain management doctor monthly because she was on fentanyl. She lost the ability to go see that doctor, and it absolutely flipped her out. She was happy to find a different doctor if she could. She really struggled to find another doctor in time for her to get her medicines refilled, and it caused a lot of stress and a lot of panic. And already favored PPOs over HMOs, but that was the instance that caused me to say, you know what, I'm done. Upside of HMOs is HMOs often offer better benefits. HMOs will almost always offer more extras. They'll almost always offer lower copays. To me, it is not worth the potential risk. And that's a decision that I make. If somebody really would rather have an HMO and have that risk, they don't need to have me as their agent, and that's okay. There are lots of people out there who appreciate that they won't to deal with the nonsense that comes with being in an HMO. So that's something that I look for. That is not something that everybody has to do. That is not even something I'm advocating that you follow. That is just what I look for. And you need to find those things for yourself. You need to find the things that are meaningful to you. So that way, when you start looking at plans and comparing plans, you say, hey, I know that dental health is very highly correlated to general health. And so I'm going to look for plans that have really excellent dental. I know that this Humana plan doesn't even have to be Humana plan. I know one D-SNP plan, a really excellent benefit card that offers a lot of food and utilities. And I know that this other D-SNP plan offers similar amounts, but you can use it for more things. Well, I think that flexibility is more important. So I'm going to offer this D-SNP plan. The idea is take a little bit of time during August, take a look at 3 or 4 different plans that are D-SNPs, 3 or 4 different plans that are for non-D-SNPs, and do a head-to-head comparison. Take an hour of your life and head-to-head compare, and pick the one that you think is going to offer the most benefits to the most people the most of the time. And then decide which one is going to be the carrier, is going to be the plan, not just the carrier, but the plan that you're going to offer to most people.
On this Friday, before we go, I want to talk real briefly about big name brand players and regionals. I know in our market, 2 of the big regionals that we like to write, or I like to write, we have Independence Blue Cross, which is Blue Cross everywhere with a different name. I don't even understand it. To me, it's just IBX in Philly because the Phillies like them. And like Health Partners. I know for a fact that if they go to Jefferson, Health Partners takes it because they own each other. I don't have to worry about networks. And I know almost everybody takes IBX. So let's talk about players, because that happens all over the country, and their portfolio compared to the big name brand players.
I think regional carriers are fantastic. Out who the regional carriers in your area are and what the benefits that they offer is a huge deal, because most of the call centers, not all, but most of the call centers, most of the national carriers that are going to be calling from all over the place aren't going to take the time to bother to learn about the small little regional carriers in your area. They're going to just have, the big 4, big 5, kind of depends on how you want to count, national carriers. And that's going to be it. A lot of times these smaller regional plans, they're hyper local, like Independence Blue Cross is. Independence Blue Cross only operates in the Philadelphia area, or maybe they're multi-state, like a Molina, but they're small. There's all sorts of things. Health Partners you mentioned, which is similarly it exists outside of the Philadelphia area, but is also pretty Philadelphia centric. Knowing what these carriers offer can be fantastic, and the customer service that these carriers offer, because they're local and because they have actual people with boots on the ground in your region, can actually be really great. They can offer a lot of really good customer service pieces that some of the bigger national carriers don't offer. Downside is they're not always as competitive in terms of extras and benefits and copays. And you do need to balance that a little bit sometimes. In my experience, the Blues are almost always competitive. It's a Blue Cross thing. They're not always. So you want to kind of like take a look at that same thing that I talked about earlier of like, how important is that extra level of customer service? How important is that extra element of being local? How important is that small company feel versus $100 a month give back versus a $20 copay for specialists versus a flat fee for a hospital stay. Copays and benefits went out. Sometimes that extra level of being hyper local and hyper customer service focused wins out. Sometimes it switches. There's a plan that I used to love. I won't name names because I don't love them anymore. But there's a plan that I used to love that was a very regional carrier in Eastern Pennsylvania. And for many years, their plan offerings were competitive enough. They weren't always the very, very, very best plan, but they were close. That was good enough that the hyper locality like really won the day. But they didn't continue to update their plans as give back started coming out, as prescription drug copays started going down, as extras started going up, and as dental benefits started going up. They didn't keep pace. They were small. They weren't as well positioned to make changes rapidly. And so a lot of went from having a couple hundred people with that carrier to now I've down to like maybe 6 or 7 who want to still be with that carrier. They're still my clients, but they're not with that carrier anymore.
So, ready for your hot take of the day?
I am. Yeah. Take it up.
Life agents are ruining the Medicare space. They have no respect for the rules. They work all year. They don't understand that after OEP, we're supposed to go into hibernation. These darn life agents are ruining the Medicare Advantage space.
I can't help but feel like you're a little bit biased with the asking of that particular question. No, competition is great. Coming up with different novel ways to approach Medicare is fantastic. I'm not a huge fan of the way a lot of life IMOs operate. There's a lot of turn and burn mentality with life insurance IMOs who are bringing in agents who they're putting that same like churn people through the system, as many people on your books as possible. Doesn't matter if they fall off. Doesn't matter if you get a complaint. That's not a great mentality. But I don't think that's inherent to life agents. I think life agents, that perspective of I have to work all year long and I can potentially be a client, and me being your agent is more valuable than most Medicare agents think. And so there are many Medicare agents who will walk away from deals because there's not a good enough reason to change, where sometimes that good enough reason to change is having a local agent that is you, who is knowledgeable and cares and offers expert advice. I posted this on Facebook recently. The reactions to it I thought were fascinating and not at all what I expected. But for most of our people, for most retirees, most people on fixed incomes, having a local insurance agent that they can work with is a genuine luxury experience. And it is one of the only luxury experiences that they can actually afford. Having that ability to talk to somebody, having that ability to call somebody on the phone and say, hey, I'm having a problem and I know you're the person who can fix it. That is a level of luxury on par with having your own personal butler, with staying at a 5-star hotel that has like a concierge service. Like that is like, it is a huge luxury for them, and it is tremendously valuable. And I think a lot of agents sell themselves short at how valuable that really is.
That's perfectly well said. The fact that what you do really does make a significant difference. Many of your senior market could never afford a good lawyer, could never afford many of the luxuries of life, but you are just as valuable to them with your skills, your profession, your dedication to your business. So treat yourself like that, hold yourself to a higher standard, and be that person for those clients who are never going to get the same luxuries from other aspects of life. Yeah. Nick, I appreciate you being here and putting up with the fact that I'm inside, outside, in a garage, on Zoom, on all these other devices, but someone's going to watch this video today, tomorrow, or one day and hear a piece of advice that you gave that changes the trajectory of their career and it's worth all the in between that we go through to put that out into the YouTube environment.
Absolutely.
Alrighty, guys. See you back next week. Like the video, comment below, subscribe, agree, disagree, just interact and let us know what you'd like to hear from us next.